it going, everyone? So this is a continuation of a previous video talking about the general funnel and how things are laid out. So I'm going to give you guys how I like to look at this as well as some specifics on how to build this out. So if we look at the general campaign funnel, or I guess the general funnel of something like Google ads or Facebook ads, you have your more top of funnel, which is geared towards outbound, and then your bottom of funnel, which is more geared towards remarketing those users that have already visited your site or have shown interest. And so what I have on the very top here is awareness building, right? So this is manual, or this should actually be no conversion-based targeting on Google, right? Pure cold targeting on Facebook, no Advantage Plus, right? So we're looking at just pure outbound, as much control as possible to pull out as much warm traffic as possible and try to just build that awareness up about the company and then fill in, the rest of the funnel essentially. So some people will say broad targeting, open target, and then customer excluded. So that can work. I like to do, for example, standard shopping or search, or combo of both, or YouTube outbound. I mean, there's tons of examples like that. But I avoid Advantage Plus for this purpose. I also avoid Performance Max for this purpose as well too, because we want to have the most control as possible to try to, like I said, make it as cool as possible. So with that being said, kind of going further down, and I'll kind of, I guess, move the conversion bidding kind of, I don't know, I would say conversion bidding is kind of in the middle here. It kind of depends on how big your company is and how much data you have. If you are a company that is, looking at, let's say you have like 1,000 orders a month, then I would lean towards saying, okay, conversion based is probably not the best bet for going for top of funnel. That also depends too on like your LTV. So if you have a product that people repurchase a lot frequently, like it's sort of like a subscription model, then I would say be very, very careful with conversion-based bidding, because you can go and retarget the repeat users again and again and again. I see a ton of brands that are on like that subscription model running Performance Max, and they run into that exact same issue where it just starts to churn their already existing traffic. So we've beaten a lot of competitors out doing that. One of the large ones actually, I'm not going to say the specific brand name, but one of the large ones actually just pretty much pulled away. They've been around, I think since like 2014. It was a supplement company. So just saying, if you guys are very aware of like the brand over there, then you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But anyways, so looking at this, like I said, middle of funnel, you're kind of going after engagement. So right here it says like conversion-based bidding on targeting users, targeting engaged users. This should actually be backwards. But you can just say, engage users, but have not bought, right? So we're looking at people that have either shown engagement on the social platform, been to your page, maybe added to cart. That could be debated on going further down the funnel. But essentially people that have shown some sort of interest in your actual ad, your website, whatever the case may be, very light interest. When we go to the further down part, we're into the, like you can say, consideration stage, right? We're looking at people that have looked at the website but have not bought. So people that maybe have added to cart, people that have subscribed to your email flow, whatever the case may be. It's those people that have taken that extra step down the funnel. For example, it could be the lead form, depending on what kind of business you have. And so these types of campaigns would be, I would say, conversion based as well. And then they would only be targeting these types of users. Now we want to have these segmented for the purpose of knowing our benchmarks. So I'll go on that in just a moment here, but just kind of wanted to give you guys the reasoning as to why I'm sort of breaking these all out. So the other portion here, and this is what I like to do for brands that have maybe a longer consideration phase, is I will do a slow burn remarketing. Let me actually take the capitalization out of this. Slow burn remarketing frequency focus campaign, right? So in this situation, and this is a strategy that I don't see used a lot, is a very, very low budget, targeting users that have engaged on the website or people that have been on the website, depending on what your buying cycle is. And I will look at this and say, okay, let's do a frequency cap, and I'll test it on different ranges where we go from 1 to 5 times a week, and then we just slow burn users, meaning that we slowly just put ourselves in front of the user just so they know and remember us, and not necessarily, we're not really looking to like dump like as much information as possible towards them. We just want to keep ourselves top of mind to those users. And then you can use that for, people that have already purchased. That's an option. People that, are in this sort of thought stage, that are, you want to kind of have a blanketed layer underneath the already set up like conversion based campaign. That's an option as well too. I like to use slow burn remarketing as more of a, display remarketing or a YouTuber marketing, or obviously that of a frequency capping. And so with that being said, it's kind of one of those things to where this is, you're going to have to track trends largely on engagement and then see if that translates later to global sales, right? So this is more of a, I would say, harder to track system. And so you just have to be very careful with this. So I don't use this too often unless it's a very large brand, or like I said, long consideration phase. I'm mainly in these sections in here, right? So the top, I would say 2 mostly, sometimes top 3, depending on how much the business wants to lean into paid ads versus their email remarketing and their obviously typical buying cycle, depending on what they're doing. So the reason why we have all of these segmented out is because we need to have control over our benchmarks. So what I mean by that is, let's say that we have, I don't know, I'll just make up numbers here, like 50% of our budget is here. Let me copy this and paste. Oops, let's do this. Then we have 20% here, let's say. You kind of get the point, right? So we're going like certain percentages that we found work, that translates into a global goal, right? So our global MER, which essentially, ideally you'd be looking at a P&L, but for simplicity's sake, our global MER is staying roughly about the same, right? So if the client's goal is a 3x MER, then you would be saying, okay, we're at a 3x MER, spending X amount on cold traffic, X amount on middle of funnel, and then bottom of funnel traffic, essentially. So we want to use this benchmark as a way to both have our tiers of scale, and our testing kind of gives us some information to test against. So like, for example, we might find out that yes, we're at a 3x MER, right? And I'll actually put this over here. So I'll just say 3x MER. And if you don't know what MER is, you can just comment below, I'll respond to you guys, but think of it as like blend ROAS. So let's say their goal is a 3x MER, and we find out that, hey, 50% on, top of funnel, 20% on, middle of funnel, and then the remaining percentage, let's say 30% on all this. Let's just say it's a weird scenario like that. Actually, no, let's do this. We'll make it a little bit linear. So do 30%, and then we'll do 20% on the other one. Just do this for visual purposes. Okay, so, and we'll just leave that there so it doesn't overlap. So we were looking at it in this way, and we say, okay, 50, 30, 20, and these campaign split gives us a 3x MER. What we can try to do, and this is what I do a lot with clients that come to me, is I'll say, okay, let's see what's going on the top of funnel. Can we scale that, right? Are we getting a lot of new customers? Can we scale the business? Have you tried to scale the business with marketing? What was the results of that, and where did you put the the actual scale? And if they say, oh, we put it heavily in the top of funnel, then what I typically do first is make sure that this is actually cold traffic, right? So I'll look at, like I said earlier, we're not running Advantage Plus as our top of funnel, and we're not using Performance Max as our top of funnel. We're using other campaigns with more control as our top of funnel. And so if we're doing that, then I'll say, okay, first of all, perfect. Okay, so we're at a 3x MER, 50%, and these are the global splits. I'll slowly try to scale the top of funnel. So maybe we jump this up to 60% of the budget, right? And then this maybe drops down to like 25% or whatever the case is. Now these don't necessarily change the actual budget. It's just an increase to budget, so the ratios shift. So that's really what we're looking at to do here. And then I'll track the first time MER, and I'll also look at, okay, what's the timeline between when someone sees an ad and when someone converts. And then I'll look at it and say, okay, did our first time MER go up, and then did our actual global MER go up as well too, or did it hold? If it doesn't hold, then I'll look at the lag time. If the lag time is fully established, right, like we've done the test long enough to where the lag time isn't a thing to really be worried about, meaning that we've passed the average lag time, then I'll look at the creative side of things. Maybe our engagement went down if that doesn't work, and then as I go further down that process, I'll say, okay, where is our middle funnel? Did the engagement drop off? And I'll look for all these other little signals to give me indications as to where the leakage is in the funnel, and then use that information to essentially make the changes that I need necessary. So what I'll do is I'll look at, okay, that didn't work. I'll maybe add some more or add a lower amount, and kind of split the two here, right? So I might add, the same percentage amount. So I'll add like 10% to top of funnel, 10% to middle of funnel, right? So if your budget's $100 here, then it's $10. If it's $50 here, then it's $5, right? Just basic math there. So I'll use this as sort of the benchmark for ratios, and then I'll kind of play with it and see what we can do from there. And what I find in a lot of instances is people are way overly inflated on this portion of their funnel, way too much. And so it'll be something as simple as just trimming this down, and leaving everything the same just to do a simple test. And the number actually goes, instead of a 3x, maybe jumps up to a 4x, right? And so that's kind of the value that I see coming from just marketers in general, is locating where the point is to scale, right? And so all those little bits of information I gave you guys on the campaign types is sort of like the general SOPs for me, and what I've seen work in literally every single one of my accounts. So just keep that in mind, that know where you're experimenting and know why you're experimenting, because it's going to give you better insight as to where your actual impact is going to have, and sort of the average trickle down from, if you change top of funnel, it's going to change middle of funnel next. It's not going to change bottom of funnel right away. So you can get those early signals on engagement from top of funnel as well as middle of funnel to then figure out, okay, if this is working or not. So hopefully this is helpful. If you guys have any questions, or if you wanted to learn more about this, I have a booking link below, and then also feel free to comment below and I'll shoot another video if you guys have specific questions. And yeah, thanks again.